Matt, just so all of you know, I think that the Eagles are going to pick at 15 Jordan Davis. I think they're going to trade the 18th pick to the Green Bay Packers. And I think they're going to trade down. And I think they're going to get Devin Lloyd from Utah.
It's the biggest, most important draft in the history of this Philadelphia football franchise. The JAKIB Media Sports 2022 NFL Draft Special. Live on 6abc.com from the Ocean Casino and Resort in Atlantic City. Presented by First Trust Bank, the official bank of the Philadelphia Eagles. IBEW Local 98, Stateside Vodka, United Healthcare, Mesa Law, 6ABC, and Budweiser, the official beer of the Philly sports fan.
Well, we're here. Day away from the NFL draft. Dan Sileo, National Football Show. Please hit the like button and welcome aboard. You know, I was just asked a question from Xander. You don't think Howie Roseman, the general manager of the Eagles, can screw this draft up, do you? You want to hear something? No, I don't. No, I don't. I think the law of averages are on the side of the Eagles here. There are so many picks. There are so many quality picks. You're going to land on somebody. I don't know if that's going to be a second, third, or seventh rounder like Jordan Mailata. But you're going to land on somebody that's going to be an impactful player to this football team in 2022. Not just years after. There's going to be somebody you're going to land on. I'm going to give you a for instance here. I was just telling Xander this. Remember the year that the Washington team made that deal with the Rams so that they could get RG3 in the building? Do you remember what Mike Shanahan did, the then head coach of Washington? Remember what he did? He drafted Kirk Cousins, I think either in the 4th or 5th round. He was hedging his bets. He took 2 quarterbacks in that respected draft because he wanted to cover his ass. And he did. And it turned out Cousins has had a great NFL career. It's great. That's a great NFL career. When you, in your 10 years, have 6 years where you've thrown for over 4,000 yards, Kirk Cousins has put together a hell of a year each and every single year that he plays football in the NFL when healthy. Has he been the winner that everyone has expected? No, but when you look at Kirk Cousins' career, he's overachieved. And so you're going to land on somebody like that, in my opinion. So, can the general manager of the Eagles screw this up? And by the way, welcome aboard, Eagle Management. We appreciate you coming aboard each and every single day. Thank you. Hey, and for the record here today, our first 2 hours wide open. Final hour, 2 Hall of Fame voters and guys that'll give us some perspective. A guy who was involved in the very first draft television-wise. Our dear friend Howard Balzer from Sports Illustrated, he did the first draft in the history of the NFL broadcasting the draft. Howard Balzer, who works for SI now, got a little bit of breaking news also when it comes to Kyler Murray. That'll be in the final hour, 3rd hour. And then Rick Gosselin will give us from Talk of Fame Network, also a Hall of Fame voter, on the direction of the Dallas Cowboys. Remember something when we do our show here, there is one thing you always have to remember. Who is the one team in the NFC East that you always have to outperform? Who is that team? It's the Cowboys. We have to draft. We have to recruit. We have to sign free agents to combat what the Cowboys are going to do because Jerry Jones has an open checkbook, and we all know how Jerry works his football team. Jerry Jones is always going to be in the NFC East, in my opinion, until the Giants or until we see Washington kind of get back up to where they need to. It is always going to be the Dallas Cowboys. So we'll talk to our friend Rick Gosselin from Talk of Fame Network. Both guys, Hall of Fame voters. That'll be in hour number 3. We are now in a position now where we could start really putting these draft boards together where we're thinking we're This football team needs to go. I'm going to give you 5 things that I think the Eagles have to keep in mind as we go into the draft on Thursday night. By the way, don't forget, JAKIB Media. We have you wall-to-wall coverage. Tremendous show starting at 8 o'clock. Xander, please put the promo up there. She is right there. We are going to have you wall-to-wall covered, and we cannot wait. Pick by pick. As we get down to the 15th and 18th pick, you'll have the best coverage of anybody around when it comes to covering the National Football League draft. Should the Eagles move up in the draft? There's a couple players that I think that the Eagles should circle if these players, funny, Xander was even saying something like that. Would you maybe go up and get a guy? Would you go up and get a guy? We'll talk about that. Before I get into the topic, the 5 things that I think the Eagles have to take a look at as we get ready for the Thursday draft, I want to read you some names here. Okay? And you tell me if the Eagles should draft and use one of their first-round draft choices for a wide receiver. Do me a favor, okay? Listen to these names, all right? Cooper Kupp, A.J. Brown, Deebo Samuel, Devontae Adams, DK Metcalf, Stephon Diggs, T. Higgins, Tyreek Hill, Terry McLaurin, Allen, Hunter Renfrow. All of these players are players that were not drafted in the first round. Should you really use a first-round pick again in this draft on Thursday night or Friday or Saturday? Friday and Saturday, I'm okay using a pick to get a wideout. On the first day, would you use a pick that's in the first round to go get a wideout? Would you? GT says go up and get Jameson because the Giants will take him. Who's throwing him the ball? Daniel Jones? Right? All in later rounds, says Tony. Panthers 6th pick. I say they take the quarterback, Malik Willis. I'm starting to believe that, brother. Brother Hannibal, I think they could be taking Malik Willis there at number 6. It's kind of what I'm hearing. Sean says Hurts 3,800 yards passing. Smith and Goddard both 1,000 yards. Sean, I'm hoping you're right. That's right, Chris. Day 2 and 3, ballers, man. I'm all right with that. If it's the best player available. Unless A.J. Brown. Sauce or Hamilton, only guys to move up for. We're going to hit on all this. I love that we're all engaged in this. This is in Big Sills' wheelhouse here because I have been around some of the greatest drafters of all time. We had one of those guys on yesterday, Jimmy Johnson. By the way, I got a special guest for you guys on Friday, Keith Byers, the legendary running back / pass receiver for the Eagles, is going to join us on Friday. I told you I'd get Keith. Him and I have been going back and forth on trying to find a time. So Keith Byers, I know you guys love that because he's off that Gang Green team. He'll be with us on Friday. Thursday, we're going to kind of keep it simple because, there's going to be a lot of news that are going to go around. Oh, smile. I think Keith Byers, I forget who won the Heisman that year, but I think it bugs Keith that he didn't win the Heisman that year. I forget who it was. I think it was 85. I can't remember, okay? I cannot remember who won the Heisman Trophy the year that Keith came out. What a great football player. Hey, Big Leroy, that kid from FSU is one whale of a player. Stick to the SEC, says Sean. Sean, you can't go wrong there. Southeastern Conference? Absolutely. How about this? You guys agree with me when I say this about SEC guys? You could have a 4-star SEC guy, and then you're talking to me about a 5-star Big Ten guy. Who would you take? Right? Who would you take? I'd take the SEC guy all night long. Right? Oh, hey, Craig. And Pepper Johnson is also Ohio State guy. Matt says, I want Jordan Davis. That's my guy. Matt, just so all of you know, I think that the Eagles are going to pick at 15 Jordan Davis. I think they're going to trade the 18th pick to the Green Bay Packers. And I think they're going to trade down. And I think they're going to get Devin Lloyd from Utah. I've said this. That's been my prediction. I think that's what ends up working out. We shall see. I may be completely wrong on this. Okay? But that's how I see the first day working out here for the Eagles. I want to give you 5 things that I think that the Philadelphia Eagles should be concentrating on as we get ready for the Thursday draft. Trade up. Trade up if you see this. By the way, I'm going to tell you something a little bit more. I watched Kayvon Thibodeau's tape a little more. And I'm hearing how he really loves this kid. Thibodeau, Jordan Davis, Sauce Gardner, or Jermaine Johnson. If those players are within reach of 15, I say you package a deal up with 2s and 3s to maybe move up 2 or 3 spots and land one of those guys. I'll tell you something. When you watch Thibodeau, he has even more so than the kid Walker. His hands are spectacular. Off the edge, boom, inside, gets around. Can't teach that. The more I watched his tape last night, exceptional hands. And that's what you want in an edge rusher. Okay? Michael Parsons has that. Exceptional hands. Do you know how long it takes? And this is one thing Aiden Hutchinson doesn't have. He doesn't have these exceptional hands like Thibodeau does. Thibodeau's like this. Engages, gets up, does the rip, comes over with the swim. Boom, dang. I mean, all the things. He's great at not staying engaged with the linemen. If that kid's within reach, say he's at 10, that may be a little bit too much for Howie to go up, but if he starts sitting around 12, I could see Howie Roseman moving up to get him, Jordan Davis, Sauce Gardner. If they're here, how about this? Between 11 and 15, obviously 15 is their pick. If they're in that room, 11 to 14, I make a move to go up and get one of these guys. I don't want Kyle Hamilton. I'll get a safety later on in the draft. I may even get the kid Klein at 18 if I don't make that move with the Packers. I may even get the kid Cross from Maryland in the 2nd round. I'll address that need. I don't think the safeties are that much difference. Just a couple ticks different. Guys taller, guys faster. The combines, in my opinion, have separated, okay, the safety position, not the tape. Not the tape. This kid Sauce Gardner's a great-looking player. He's a great-looking player. So like I said, trade up. If you see this, Thibodeau between 11 and 14. If these players are between 11 and 14, one more time. Thibodeau, Jordan Davis, Sauce Gardner, and Jermaine Johnson, the defensive end from Florida State, I would trade up and get one of these guys. Okay? I'm proving a point to you on wide receivers. I don't have to use a first pick to get a star. 60% of the Pro Bowlers in the last decade weren't first-round draft choices. The chances of you landing a star wideout in 2 and 3 are higher than you landing on a star in the first round. Don't let the name on the back of the jersey pollute your brain when you're looking at what the stats and also what trends are telling you. The trends are telling you you don't have to use a first-round pick to get a wideout that's going to be an impact player on your team. It's facts. This is not my hyperbole here. This is facts. I've named you all these. The top wide receivers in the NFL are all non-first round guys. Cooper Kupp had a legendary year. He wasn't a first round pick. Okay? Trade up. If those guys are there. Trade down. Package up a 2 and a 3, move down to 21 and 32, and try to get yourself another second or third rounder by taking that 18th pick. If you start to see guys falling and guys getting passed on, why wouldn't you trade down to get more 2s and 3s? You may land on one of these wide receivers that may fall out of the first round. It's funny. I love what Xander said, because Xander goes like this. Sills, you don't think he can, I don't think he can screw this up. I think the one thing that Howie really does well is acquire picks. Okay? Hey, I've told you this before. I'll give the guy his kudos when just, okay? And I'll hammer him when it needs to be hammered. I think he's really good when it comes to this. I think he's good at acquiring picks. And to me, in a draft like this, I don't think there's really superstar spectacular players in it, but I think there's a lot of really good, impactful players that can help your team. And by the way, that doesn't necessarily mean, I'm not saying that there's not starters in this draft. I think there's starters in this draft. Big pick, and I agree, Sills. Trade back 18. Hey, thank you very much, Craig. Please hit the like button, guys. Thank you. You guys have been great the last couple days, actually the last couple months. Jesse says, Sills, I hope you're doing great, bro. The Reed era Eagles will never be replicated again. So let me ask you, you think the Reed era was better than the Buddy Ryan era? Isn't it funny, Jess, when I say this to you? The Buddy Ryan era is more revered than the Donovan McNabb era. Those players from the Reggie White, Jerome Brown days. Okay? And I happen to agree with you. I think that what the Eagles did by going to all those conference championship games, I think was spectacular. Probably the greatest era, not winning the Super Bowl in Eagle history. Great winning. And they were built. And they were built for success. Don't trust Howie to trade back. Paul, but here. Hey, Trev, thanks for coming aboard, brother. Thank you. Acquiring picks, though, in this draft, I think could be, listen, do you know what I think? I'm going to show you this here. The more picks Howie has, the less chance of him effing up are and finding a superstar. Look at all the first and second and third rounders they have for the next 2 years. There's going to be a guy in the bunch. Just the law of averages is going to pan out where somebody is going to be an impactful player for that Eagle team. Xander said something. He goes, and I'm paraphrasing here. He's like, we just got a good team now. This is a chance to become a great team. A chance to become a great team. I'm going to tell you a little thing that I've changed my thought process on free agency and why the Eagles didn't go into free agency. I'm going to explain, but I want to get through these 5 things. Number 3, I don't believe that the Eagles should use a first-round pick to get a wideout. I just don't. The intel and the trends have been the better wide receivers are in rounds 2 and 3, not in round 1. I'm not suggesting to you that there's not going to be a kid that'll be taken in the first round, one of these Ohio State kids or what have you. But remember something, too. It's where they land. Let's take a look at that, for instance. Say these wide receivers go to a place like the Houston Texans. So you think Wilson or any of these people are going to have a great rookie season? with the quarterback they have in Houston, Barrett Brooks, I would trade one of the first and second round picks, pick up George Pickens and Quay Walker in the second. I love that, Barrett. By the way, Barrett said something today on Sports Take that was so spectacular. It was so spectacular that I'm stealing it. He's dead on with this one take. Let me finish my fourth and fifth one here. Find an impact safety. He and I both like the kid from Maryland. You can get him in the second or third round. I don't have to waste the first rounder on Kyle Hamilton. Kyle Hamilton and him, I think this kid actually from Maryland is faster. He's rangier. I think he's a bigger hitter. Not saying the kid from Notre Dame is not good, but why would I give up a one when I could get almost the same duplicate player in the third? Why would I do that? Also, punter. Matarazza from San Diego State. You want your field position changed? This guy could be a player like Ray Guy, Reggie Roby, someone like that could change field position for you. You need a special teams guru. He could be this. This kid's out of San Diego State. I'm not saying first, second, or third, maybe a fourth rounder if he's sitting in there. There is nothing better than having a punter that can change field position for you. Nothing. Kicks you out of trouble. And when you have a quarterback that you're still developing and you see a lot of 3 and outs, your best friend's the punt. Your best friend is the punt. You use that for this kid. Listen what they're saying about him. Barrett's like this. We need a punter bad to flip the field. He knows this, especially when, dude, if I had Tom Brady, my punter, when I have a quarterback like that, I need to help him. If I don't have star wideouts, I want a star punter. Flip the field on it. Flip the field. Let your defense play. Give me some more here. So, trade up when you see one of these stars. Trade down, 21-32, somewhere in there. Get yourself a 2 and a 3 out of it. Don't use, in my opinion, your first-round pick to get a wideout. Find an impact safety and get yourself this kid from San Diego State, the punter. Field position's everything in the NFL. Now I'm going to tell you what Barrett said. Now I know why your 17 team fell apart. He is so right. It was an innocuous comment that he threw out, and I don't think the other guys heard it. But I did. Barrett's like, the price of free agency today. When you go out and you spend top dollar in free agency every year you're fighting cap issues. And you have to release and cut, release and cut, release and cut. You're not developing. You're not developing your core guys. How many teams do you see go out and make all these moves for free agents and they have no core group of dudes to develop? You're not developing anybody. You're cut. The problem with the Cowboys, though, Barrett's right. The Cowboys have done a nice job when it comes to drafting, but you know where the Cowboys wrecked that whole thing? They overpaid for their services. And then they find themselves in cap hell. Instead of letting the contracts and being patient, they want to overpay right away. Before you know it, you're paying Ezekiel Elliott too much money. You got to jettison Amari Cooper. You're paying too much money in the O-line. And your quarterback you overpaid for. So they're fighting cap issues now because they overpay, not because they didn't draft well. Jerry's not patient. He's not patient. Okay? Jesse says, I hope the Eagles are watching. They are watching. My emails dictate they're watching. Okay? That's right. King says Howie stopped developing after the Super Bowl. Barrett's take was, well, look at all the people they brought in. They had to get rid of them. And as the price of free agency now has gone up, you're going to be against the cap all the time. So Howie sees this. And in the end, guess what? Howie's right. Howie's right. Look, did Barrett and I and everybody want to have Deshaun Watson? Absolutely. Absolutely. One of the big name wideouts? Absolutely. But I see what he's thinking. If I pay all this gigantic money, we're going to be up here against the cap every freaking year, and we'll never build the stable foundation to build the championship team. I even get an ah. He's right. It was just an innocuous comment, and I said, he's so effing right on there. I never thought about it because the price of free agency. Okay, by the way, Sports Take is great too. I hope everyone's watching it. Barrett's spectacular on it. His take on that, what's changed in free agency, friends, is the money. Look, $28 million for a wide receiver. What happens if Tua turns out to be a 4,500 passing quarterback? Then you got to pay that guy $45 million. You're going to be in cowboy hell. You'll be in cowboy hell. Eventually, the Dolphins have to pay for our quarterback. Okay? Only when they're right, Big Chris. Only when they're right. Doesn't help when the coaching staff doesn't have much say. Chuck, I'm going to tell you this, though. When you keep saying that stuff, I get it. Get over that. This is Howie's game. This is Howie's show. We could sit here and complain all about that. We got a draft tomorrow. And I get your opinion, and I understand what you're saying. And for the record, if you heard Jimmy Johnson yesterday, what he said, Jimmy sent all of his coaches out to evaluate positions. Howie sends out his talent evaluators. There's the difference. When Coach Johnson sent out Dave Wannstedt or Butch Davis or Tony Weiss or whomever to take a look at offensive line prospects, these were the guys they were going to coach. They report back to Jimmy and Bob Ackles. They put their draft board together. And not only were these coaches that were on that Dallas Cowboys staff that won 3 Super Bowls in 5 years, great coaches, coached me at Miami. But these were guys that were working alongside with Bob Ackles and the player personnel department. You don't have that dynamic. Why wouldn't you send out Jeff Stoutland to look at offensive linemen in rounds 3, 4, 5? Why wouldn't you? Why would I send out a scout who knows a billion times less than that guy, who, by the way, has a recruiting acronym in the back because he was at Bama recruiting those great old linemen that now play in the NFL? Why would you not send him out? Why would you send a bookworm out to talk to me about an old lineman when I got the best offensive coach, offensive line-wise in the building, and maybe in the NFL? Why would I do that? Because you have control, you're a nerd. Okay, all of that. We know that. By the way, I'm sick of repeating that stuff. You know my position. So I get now a little bit more. And that's why there was so little movement when it came to free agency. Howie wants all of his resources. And you know what? They want to build a foundation with this draft so that they don't have happen what happened to them after 17. Think about how that house of cards fell. Think about it. You win the Super Bowl. You kick the living shit out of the Patriots, and then 4 years later, you're a 4-win team? Why? Because of what Barrett said. you were playing in the free agent market too soon and too much. You had to jet it. Xander pointed this out to me. There's still $35 million of dead cap money because of those not very good long-term moves. You got dead cap money of Alshon Jeffrey still on the deal at $5.5 million this year. Still killing the Eagles. It's like an anchor around your neck. Instead of having $200 million, you're playing with a 167 salary cap. You're not playing full strength. Get it. Free agency put them in a bind. It was great to win the Super Bowl, guys. It was wonderful to win the Super Bowl. Wonderful. Hey, and in the era where Barrett played with that McNabb team, didn't you guys feel every year that you guys teed it up and kicked off every respected season? You thought you were going to win the Super Bowl, didn't you? Didn't you? After the 17th Super Bowl, to me, it ended in New Orleans when Jeffries dropped the pass. That was it. I even said it to my wife. I went just like this. It's over. Eagles will start rebuilding right there. He catches that pass. They make it to an NFC championship game. I think they win it. I think the Eagles had a chance to go back-to-back. If they catch that pass in New Orleans, it was like what, on the 25 going in? That's where your dynasty ended, or the chances of it being one. It ended right there. You had a 2-year window because of exactly what Barrett said. Too many big positions, too much money wrapped around it, and guys at the back end of their 9 holes. They're like on the 17th tee box, and they got a couple more holes to play. And that's what happened to them, and the house of cards fell in. They do not want to have that go down this time like that. They want to build the foundation. And these next 2 years, that's what, don't you see? That's why the 3-year contract coincides with the thinking process of what they're doing here. You know, I put it all together today, and I put the deck of cards together today after Barrett's comment. Yeah, man, free agency is just too much money nowadays. Plus, okay, if you miss on that, you're in cap hell for the rest of the next contract, the next 3 years. You are in contract hell. The Cowboys are in contract hell because they put them, get this, the stuff that the Cowboys do, it's self-inflicted. They didn't have to give these contracts and extend these guys. They could have played it out, but Jerry falls in love with his guys. Remember what I told you. Always fall in luck and in like with your guys. Don't fall in love with anybody. Belichick didn't even love Brady. They fell in like with their guys. Hey, I really like this guy. Don't fall in love with anybody because then emotions come into it. The Fletcher Cox deal, this is where I disagree with Barrett. I would never have signed him to a $14 million one-year deal. He's not a $14 million guy. No way. No way. No way. 7 at most. You think Fletcher Cox would have got $14 million in the open market? No way. Maybe I'm wrong. No way would he have gotten 14 in the open market. I don't think. Especially coming off the year he did. I mean, there were games he had goose eggs up. Now, was it a different system? Absolutely. Could you have put that into the context of, I didn't know what was being, absolutely. We'll find out this year, though. It's being paid $14.4. Chris says Honey Badger's still out there. Why would I pay for Honey Badger at $11 or $12 million a year when I can go out and get a safety in the draft that I think could really be a fine ball player, the kid from Maryland? Why would I do that? Why would I do that? Jesse, thank you so much, man. Big Sills, you just blew my mind. I appreciate you. Cox's second contract was bad. Ernest says, hell no, he's not. Earl Thomas wants to play. The Eagles aren't a retirement home. The Eagles are not a retirement home here. Okay? All right. I want to take a timeout. Do me a favor. Please hit the like button. Keep it right here on the National Football Show.